You're listening to Permission to Shine, the podcast. Stories of overcoming obstacles and finding self-empowerment with Sherisse Bisram, Inner Power Activation Leader. The Oxford Dictionary describes permission as the action of officially allowing someone to do a particular thing, consent, authorization. What if you were that someone and you gave yourself the permission to be everything you wanted to be and more? No more playing small and accepting less than. You are worthy of the life of your dreams, regardless of what it is that you've been through. And honestly, it's exactly what you've been through that has shaped you into the version of yourself that you are now. Like a diamond, you've endured so much, but instead of breaking, you have become stronger and brighter. And if that's not a reason to shine, then I don't know what is. And if nature can do it, then why the hell can't you? You are brave, you are strong, you are powerful, and you are enough. Hear my call and give yourself the permission to shine, because you don't realise how many people are inspired by your light. Hello, beautiful people. Welcome back. This is episode 61. And yeah, it's me today. I was actually in a process of debating whether to upload another guest episode. And I was like, do you know what? I think we need to have a chat. I think we need to all have a chat together. Don't worry, you're not getting told off. I feel like that sounds like it, but I just felt really cool to just jump on and just speak, really. And I think it's probably because we're in a new moon in Leo currently. So I'm recording this on the new moon of Leo. And obviously, if you've been listening, you'll know that I am a Leo sun and a Leo rising. So this is absolutely my energy, 1000%. Now, as well as obviously that going on at the moment, the new moon and everything, we've also got the Lionsgate portal, which is the 8/8 portal. So everything is about transformation at the moment. So even if you're not into astrology, this is really a chance and a real big time for you to step out of playing small. Where have you held yourself back? And where can you now be the main character? Because I think that so many of us are just afraid. We're afraid of the worst possible case scenario. So that stops us from doing all the little bits in between. That stops us from even taking one step forward because we're so afraid that, it might all go wrong or that it might all go right. And I feel like that's something I've been battling myself. And, what was really beautiful with me is obviously I work with my own mentor, and she sort of asked me one day, she was like, are you afraid of failure? And my answer was no. And this was obviously in a state of meditation. So it was my subconscious. And then she said, are you afraid of success? And I was like, and a part of me said yes. And I was like, wow, isn't that crazy that, you know, for me, I feel like in my life, I've been so used to overcoming, building resilience, things being hard, bouncing back from the bottom, but actually having an opportunity for something to be easy or for me to be successful with ease and for that to be the outcome overall, that's a little bit scary and a beautiful fear to have, absolutely that. But what happens is we begin to sabotage ourselves by not stepping out of those comfort zones. Now, before, I encourage you to just feel the fear and do it anyway, because I do encourage you to do that. I do encourage you to push yourself. I also want you to tap in, and this is where things like having cards, like if you're into the woo-woo stuff that I am, like I've got angel cards and tarot cards. And sometimes if I'm a bit, stuck or not really sure what to do, I'll try to journal it out first and see what the best possible scenario is. I do sometimes ask people as well. I still think that's healthy, but ultimately it is your own decision. So yeah, I'll just sit with my cards and maybe pull them, ask a question. But you're always in the driving seat, right? So no matter what you choose to do, it won't be wrong. It'll either be, a shortcut to the outcome you want, or, you might have to learn something along the way. But either way, it's all divine. Okay. But again, with that being said, if you're not stepping out of your comfort zone, then you're not growing. And when you're not growing, obviously the alternative to that is you are ultimately dying, right? So yeah, how can you do that now? How can you step into that bold energy? And what does that look like for you? Now, if you are like me, where you've been heavily in your masculine a lot of your life, maybe the biggest thing that you can do right now is to sit in the seat of surrender. Like I was looking at this from a different lens earlier today. And then now speaking about it, that's become very transparent to me that actually, for me, the biggest thing that I can do that's scary is actually just receive. is actually just sit here and trust the universe has my best interest at heart. I've done some little things that I can do to generate more abundance to come into my life. But ultimately, I have to trust now and take my hands off the steering wheel, like I said to you all before. It's quite scary for me, but equally a beautiful space to be in. And surrender is just an absolute gorgeous thing. If you haven't allowed yourself to do that, I do encourage you. How can you just do one thing less, you know? I think, as I said, if you've been an overachiever like I have, I felt like I had to do it all. And if I didn't do it all, I'd be letting someone down or let myself down. And that's just a toxic pattern to have. And again, a wounded one. Because ultimately, whatever you don't get to do today, you can do tomorrow, right? The only difference is we can't keep putting it off, keep putting it off. So if you are going to move something, just have that true intention that you will get it done. And if it's not that important, it doesn't matter. It's really funny. I've noticed that I've been rolling certain letters, and it's because Mercury's about to go retrograde tomorrow, and my voice always changes around that time. It's so strange, isn't it? I've noticed, yeah, I've done it all day today, and I'm just laughing at myself. So yeah, apologies if I start to put a different accent on, guys. It's just the wave of Mercury. It's probably a woo woo episode. Sorry about that. But it keeps it real in these ends, and that's another thing I wanted to talk to you about. And this is actually the main point. I did a post on my Instagram this week and I asked the audience what 3 words they would use to describe me. And the reason I did that was because I wanted to make sure that my integrity to who I am, my growth, and who I'm stepping out to be is really clear. I wanted I wanted you to tell me what you think when you see me and not me try to tell you. Because again, that'd be the masculine energy is like trying, and actually, to be fair to you, that's actually toxic feminine energy, because that's sometimes how the toxic feminine would manipulate the situation and use their body and their imagery to provoke certain emotions. That's that toxic thing. Now, that can be used in a really beautiful way, but equally that kind of degree that it was used for, we see that a lot in I'm trying to think of the type of film it'd be used in, but like how um they used to, well, do you know what, it is actually fair, isn't it, in sometimes, because the films that I'm thinking about are like the ones where the sailors would go to the bars and obviously the women would like hustle them, but then equally I'm like, are they getting treated fairly? That's where the patriarchy, my patriarchal feminism starts to kick in. But that's not actually the point here. The point is that sometimes is misconstrued. That's not what I'm talking about here. Side note there on a tangent. But how, yeah, basically, sorry, going off on a tangent. I wanted you all to see, I wanted to see what you all saw. That's what I'm trying to say. Again, Mercury's just up in here, just trying to jumble things around. So yeah, I wanted to make sure that everything that I'm showing you is everything that I am, full transparency. A lot of people would be like, oh, I can't upload this podcast episode because I'm rambling. I'm like, no, this is how it is. We're human in this process. And that's so important to the work that I do, because I never want anyone to look at me and think, oh, I'm so polished. She's so polished. She's so well put together that she never feels any of these things. No, I'm in it all the time, and that's what makes it a beautiful journey, because I know how to live in this space and cultivate in this space, because it's the humanness, and I feel like I'm a person that is connected mind, body and soul to who I am as a person. But I wanted to make sure that that was really transparent, and I received some really, really beautiful words. Now, obviously, being a Leo, my ego was stroked, so I'm not going to lie, that was there, which I'm so grateful for. But more than that, how the audience saw me being soulful, me being connected to this spiritual space, and also like being empowered and confident and assured. That was just such beautiful words. And one person actually put graceful, and I was like, wow, I never would have ever said that I was graceful in any form of a way. But for someone to see that in me, that was such a beautiful thing. And that compliment has really deeply, soaked into my mind, body, and soul, because I guess really that for me is a real beautiful sign that I have healed a massive load. That word in itself is divine feminine. And for that to be seen is such a real beautiful achievement for me. So thank you so much for everyone that did comment on that, because that was really the point there, was for me to make sure that me living in integrity and in alignment to my values is transparent to you all too. Because this is the thing, like, the coaching space, the mentoring space is very saturated, and the influencer space is very saturated. Now, I would never go out of my way to call myself an influencer, but by default, I am influencing people. So I guess that that's why that label comes into play when a lot of people speak of me or speak to me in what I'm doing. But you know, a lot of people in that space right now that we're watching with like millions and millions of followers, some of them haven't got there through being their true self. It's a persona they put on. And that's something that I'm really intentional about not doing. I don't want you to see my glamorous lifestyle and all the nice things that I do, and not me actually in the business doing the work, or me actually working through hard things, you know. Everything that I teach is everything that I am, you know, and the work that I've done for myself and to myself and through myself is the work that I work with all my clients. You know, like, this is all proven techniques and formulas that I use because I'm so dedicated to this practice and this work. And I think, you know, I've had really beautiful conversations over the last few months with people that are absolute experts in their field, whether it's you know, counselors and therapists, whether it's people that run like 6-7 figure businesses, you know, all of those people, and having these conversations with them, and they're like, it's very clear to see that you are the embodiment of your work, and actually your lived experiences are so rich that, you know, how you help your clients is really beautiful. And those compliments are absolutely incredible. Now, I wasn't coming on here to just talk to you about me, but what it is, again, obviously the podcast is called Permission to Shine, is for you to see that within yourself. And this is what this Leo season is all about, is how can you see how far you've come. Now, I'm about to have my solar return, which aka birthday in non-spiritual lingo. And for me, this time last year in the Venus retrograde was very heavy. And my birthday was the worst birthday I'd had in years. And it was because all of my old inner child wounds purged up to the surface. But now I'm revisiting them in a different space and a different energy. And that feels so beautiful. And we currently do have Chiron retrograde, which is the wounded healer. And that's currently in Aries, which is where the North Node is at. And the North Node is all about our future self. So basically, Leo season is working with that North Node at the moment and asking you, what does the next version of you look like? And how can you step into that version of you? That's the real question here. Like, how can you move out of where you've been? You know, like, you aren't everything you used to be. If I'd asked people that 3-word thing about 5 years ago, even 6 years ago, I would have still got motivated and driven. I would have got hardworking. I would have got all of these things, but there had been none of the divine feminine words in there. I wouldn't have got graceful, let me tell you that. And that's really for me, again, where these little sort of flowers are blooming from the seeds that I've sown over the last 4 to 5 years. And, you know, for me, a massive chunk of me being this version of myself now has come from me, you know, solely working on myself and doing this journey. And it's been heavy and hard. And that's why I do the work I do now, because, you know, even my recent client, she has transformed her whole life. Like, we started working together in February, and probably end of February, March. Oh no, sorry, it was March we started working together. And since then, she has completely transformed her life. And it's crazy, because she was, everything seemed grey to her. Everything was yeah, just heavy. And she couldn't see a way out of what she'd created, and she felt like she was just living in a persona and not her true self. And the last few sessions that we've had have been absolute full circle moments with her, just even down to her connection with her parents, like her relationships just completely evolved. And it's all about stepping out of our own way. And I think when we're in it ourselves, we can't see it. It's just like your gifts, you know, like, I've one of my best friends, she's a mentor as well, and she says, because you're so close to your gifts, you can't see it for yourself. And it's exactly the same with your blocks. This is why working with someone is such a beautiful space. And I think that for me, I mean, I guess because I've been in education for so long, obviously I did my went all the way up to university level, and then obviously in the pandemic 10 years later I went back into my master's. I've always been adaptable to learning, you know, like and even in my free time, like I always read. I think I've said to you all before, sometimes I read 3 books at a time because I just love learning and love absorbing information. But working with someone like in a mentoring space, it should just be normal, because honestly, that's where the life-changing space is. And like when I was at uni as well, working with the women's charity that I do now, you know, my and actually that episode is one of the first ones I did with Avatara. She's the founder of the charity. She was a mentor to me in that time, and it was really transformational. And that was the kind of the beginning of my mentoring journey. And then obviously I've gone on to invest in other mentors in that time frame. And I guess probably if I include Avatar, I've had 4 mentors over the last 4 years. And my life has completely evolved for it. And it's just a really beautiful space. So, you know, why I'm saying this to you is, how can you invest in yourself to give you the best possible outcomes at every scenario? And it doesn't mean obviously investing in a coach or a mentor to that degree, but maybe it's investing in a PT, or investing in something like, you know, one of the food companies that send you all the ingredients, so then you can then make your meals and feel less stressed. You know, it's how can you do these little things, because we mindlessly spend our money all of the time. You know, like even down to your coffee, you know, like when you buy coffee every day, now coffees are now nearly £5, right? So if you're buying a £5 coffee every single day and you're drinking it and it's just average, you know, and that's on the basis that you buy one. Like if you're buying more than one, that amount of money you're spending a day, I mean, unless you've got like one of the prep cars or whatever, you're not getting value for money here. Do you know what I mean? So it's like how we're wasting our money. Like if you bought yourself a coffee machine and invested maybe £100, say, that would be then 30p a coffee for your whole life, you know? So it's how can we be more wise with our energy and our time, and that investment that we put into those things is going to give us a more significant outcome. And I think, you know, so many of us want ease. We want ease in every area of our lives, but we're actually going the long way and the hard way around it, when actually we can cut through the middle. And I think that's really where, again, we're in this portal right now. If you're listening on time, is and any time you listen to this, it's all relevant, you know, like you can absolutely transform everything you do in the drop of a hat. You know, that's just something that you have the capacity to do. Your brain is full of neuroplasty, and that neuroplasty is almost like Play-Doh, so you can create new impressions in it. And I think that's where, you know, the saying, you can't teach an old dog new tricks. You can actually teach an old human new tricks. It's just whether they're willing to learn and willing to stay consistent and implement it in the tools. And that again connects to my work, you know, like I think the only reason why someone wouldn't completely transform their life working with me is if they didn't do the things I said. That's just it. You know, if you don't do what I'm setting, that you won't get the outcome. That's just it. Because, you know, I always say I'm a solutions-based approach to mental health and well-being, a solutions-based. So if you aren't going to do the steps involved, if you aren't going to work through my proven formula, then that is you not taking accountability and dedication to yourself. Because again, like, you know, I'm talking about how we're playing now with energies, you know, whether we're stepping out of the fear of the comfort zone, or are we, you know, surrendering in. This is the divine feminine and masculine doing the dance, right? And that's just a process of life. And we have to keep, you know, wading through that. That's the ebb and flow of life. But ultimately, you can go side to side with the growth as long as you're moving forward. Otherwise, you're just going to keep on the spot, right? And this is where the masculine energy of doing meets that key point, really. And that's the aligned action. That's why it's that masculine energy has come from the inspiration of the feminine. So if you don't find those moments to connect with yourself, your intuition, then you won't progress further in doing the right actions, because that's where all of that cultivation comes from. That beautiful space of like surrender is what inspires you to take the action. And sometimes I've found that if I've taken action without the surrender part, I've then fallen into that cycle of pushing hard, trying hard, fighting through it. And that's just really not healthy for anyone. So if no matter when you're listening to this, you know, get a piece of pen and paper out, and this is some actionable things you can do. So I'm going to gear it to the new moon, but you can do this at any point. As I said, I want you to write down what you want to release right now. So whether that's mindset blocks, you're in a lack mentality, you've got low self-esteem, you're overwhelmed, you're burnt out, all of those things, just write them down. Like, I release what it is you're releasing. Yeah. So if you're doing this with the new moon, you can write, with this new moon in Leo, I release. If you aren't, obviously just write I release. And then the next section you're going to do, again, you can pause this or do it in your own time. With this new moon in Leo, and or I intend, or I call in, I now call in, what it is you want. So what we're doing essentially is making space. We're saying to the universe, I'm exchanging all of these things that I no longer want for these new things that I deserve. And that really is that beautiful shift there. And essentially what we're doing here is we're manifesting. And I said today in the live training that I delivered is that manifesting is the bridge between your old reality, where you are now, to your new reality. So again, you're telling the universe what it is you want, you're forming that bridge. And then by you doing the aligned action, you step over the bridge. And that's what creates that manifestation space and process. So in this new space, you could write in maybe that you want a pay rise at work. Maybe you want more social interactions. Maybe you want more freedom in your life. And what does that look like, that freedom? Maybe it means that you just want to get up in the morning, do your morning routine, and enjoy a really lovely breakfast before you start the day. And currently, because you're, working extra hours at the moment, that you don't have the opportunity to do that. So how can you free up that time? Because that'll be it. But when you're clear on what you want looks like, the how isn't your concern. That's the universe's job, right? So when you have that list, you can either keep it somewhere that you can see it, or you can trust the universe will bring that all to you. With the new moon energy in Leo, you can burn that list and just allow that fire to really ignite. Or you can speak it into water. And again, that's super woo-woo, but I've mentioned this before on here about, moon, working with the moon. So powerful. Honestly, I feel like I started working with the moon in the lockdown. And I do think that that process of working with the moon created rituals. And that's really what my routines are. They're rituals. I do a morning routine and an evening routine every single night. And for me, that grounds me back into my body, my mind and soul. So maybe it's that, with this Leo energy right now, you're thinking, I need to set up myself in a better routine. I need to think of a better way that I need to do things to support myself and to support that higher version of me. Because, if right now that you're drinking a lot of fizzy drinks and you feel like you have sugar crashes all day, and then you just end up having another fizzy drink to make up for it, that's you in a bit of a toxic cycle, right? Call it as we see it. So maybe you're thinking to yourself, do you know what, maybe the first week I'll do sugar free, and then the week after that I'll switch to squash, and then the week after that maybe I'll switch to water. Or you just integrate it, so maybe it's that go down to one a day, and then whatever that looks like to you, it's how can you create these stepping stones to get you into that space. Because this is really the thing with me now where I am. There is so much work that has gone into me becoming this version of myself. Even the words empowered and confident, that is a daily choice. It's a daily choice to show up and not care about what other people think about you. Like a lot of people, especially from my upbringing, that like friends from school and things like that, probably think it's cringy that I've got a podcast. And I don't care. I was at a baby shower for a family friend yesterday, and she said to me, do you mind hosting the games? And I'm like, no, of course not, I'm okay with that. She went, you're the only person that I know that's confident to do that. I'm like, yeah, of course, because I don't care, and I don't mind being cringy. Like I was saying to the ladies in the room, I was like, if you're ready to start, give me a woo. And then they was all wooing. And then, like a couple of the girls after, I think they didn't really know what I do for work now. They were like, oh my gosh, you're such a natural at that thing. But I know that some people in the room would have thought that was cringy. But again, I don't care. I just don't care anymore. And that not caring comes from a space of choosing to be in rooms where things are scary and going above it anyway. Because there probably was a time many moons ago that I was afraid of public speaking, and or probably wouldn't have chosen it for myself. But as trauma had it, I've always had to speak my truth. So this for me is that beautiful transmutation of taking pain and turning it into power. Now I use my voice to inspire others. And that's really important because for me, telling my story is the connecting point. You know, whenever I do any events or, you know, even working in the schools with the girls, they're saying to me, oh, your stories are the things that, you know, help me connect. And I'm like, yeah, there we go. That's what it's all for. That's what it's all for. So how can you right now in your life, you know, be more you? And be more of the higher self version of you that you want to be. You know, like if you feel like you've been so consumed by what other people think about you your whole life and now you're ready to break free of that, this is the perfect energy for it. This Leo energy is the perfect time for you to step out of that old narrative. You don't have to follow that anymore. You don't have to be that anymore. I actually have created a cord cutting meditation as well that I'm going to be selling through my website. So if anyone would like it, do drop me a message because I'd like to know how that works. Because again, with the cord cutting, you're cutting all ties to the version of yourself you used to be, any people, situations, circumstances, especially anyone that's been through, you know, maybe abusive relationships or, you know, just hard times with friends. Like this is really what that's for. And it's just about releasing that all out. And also you can do this in your own way with the water, again, with having a shower or a bath. You can just imagine that the water's just cleansing away all of the old energy so you can step forward into the new. And that's really what I want for you right now, is for you to step into that space of really owning every single part of your new self, that new identity, and being that confident version of you. And this is the thing, confidence isn't just bold and shiny and out there. Confidence is a deep sense of knowing who you are and being okay with you regardless. If you are an introverted person, stay being an introverted person. You don't need to be extrovert to be confident. When you just know yourself on that deep level, that's enough. That's beautiful. That's exactly what confidence is. And you know, it's not even about just being confident. It's about being just authentically yourself. And I know that word gets thrown around a lot, but that is living in integrity, is to just be like, this is me. This is who I am. This is what I stand for. And I'm just okay with it. And the minute you feel okay with being you, you give everyone else, every single person in your energy field, the permission to be the same and to do the same, you know, allow themselves to be themselves fully. And that really is my, you know, soul's purpose here, is to give you the permission to shine, because ultimately you give everyone else out the permission to shine too. And as I say in the intro, you know, your light is inspiring so many people that you don't even know them yet. You know, like I don't even know who listens to the podcast, right? But I had a beautiful conversation with someone the other day, and she said to me, yeah, I listen to your podcast and it's amazing. And honestly, that is the whole reason I do it, you know. I hope that there is a woman listening right now that, you know, maybe didn't feel seen and heard growing up, and actually hearing my voice is just a reminder that things can be hard and they can be, you know, tough at times, but you always make it through, and that you are worthy of all of the abundance that you desire and everything that you've ever wanted and more. And I hope that you listen to that knowing that, yeah, you can absolutely transform your life. That I always say that, you know, there's a reality here where I didn't step out of, you know, the toxic cycles and patterns and break the generational curses and all of the things. There's a version of me that just decided to follow the patterns of my family and ended up being an addict myself, you know. So, you know, all of these things, there's always different pathways. Every choice leads to something different. And you can make a different choice every single day. You know, you have the power to do that. So, how can you be more you? How can you step into your highest, most shiniest self? And I mean that from a space of polishing and polishing you to get the rust off, to get the self-doubt off, to get the limiting beliefs off, so you can shine boldly and brightly and unapologetically in whatever capacity that looks like for you. So yes, I'm going to leave you there. And obviously, as always, you know, if anything I say resonates with you, please do drop me a DM. You know, I've been really refining everything that I do at the moment as well. And, you know, in August, I'm really just relaxing. So if you are, if you see me about, come and say hello. And also, you know, if you're connecting with me on socials, drop me a DM. And I've been really, you know, this month I am offering free recalibration calls. So I've currently got 6. We're at the start of the month. So obviously drop me a DM if you want one of them. I did have 7, so one's already gone. And we're only a few days into August. So yeah, please do drop me a DM if you'd like a free recalibration call to see where you're out of alignment with your manifestations and your life as a whole. I'd love to speak to you and connect with you. So drop me a DM if you'd like that. Because this is the thing, like I have a 4-step proven formula that gets my clients out of the darkness and into their own light. And if you feel like that's something that you know you need right now, especially with the amplification of this Leo season energy, especially with the fact that we have 4 planets in retrograde, and especially with the fact that we are coming out of or coming into the next eclipse season in October, and you want to prepare yourself for that, drop me a DM, because again, this is all of my work and you deserve to shine boldly, brightly, and unapologetically. So I'm sending you so much love and light. Have a beautiful, beautiful week, and I will speak to you really, really soon.
If this episode resonated with you, please do like, follow, and share with someone that you know would benefit. If you're looking to dive in deeper to becoming your most unapologetic, most authentic, shining self, please do head to my website and join my newsletter, where you will find out about all of my upcoming events and speaking opportunities and all of the things that I have going on. And also, if you would like to work with me, please do drop me a DM on any of my socials or through my website. Love and light.